Recently, I've had a few conversations with people, whether it be unfaithful or betrayed, and they've said something to me that I have kind of just stood in awe of. Because I don't hear it a lot, but lately I've been hearing it so much more, so I figured I'd talk about it today. And that's when I'm talking to either a betrayed or an unfaithful, and they'll say this statement. They'll say, well, I sure wouldn't handle it that way if I was her. Or, well, if I had done this, I wouldn't be doing that, and I sure wouldn't be handling it that way. And it's alarming, and I'm going to explain to you why it's very alarming and why it's, please hear this with a great deal of grace, it's really destructive. If you're an unfaithful and you want to say, well, if I was a betrayed spouse, I would handle it differently. You don't know that. And this is with great credence to the fact that some of you have been unfaithful on both sides. And I understand that that's a different blog on a different day, but I want to give you certainly the respect that your situation is different. If you're an unfaithful spouse, though, I'm going to be real gracious, but I'm going to be real direct. How can you speculate on what you would do if you were betrayed when you are the one that has been unfaithful? The ability for you to see objectively what you've done to your spouse is not possible. You are not able to see how your choices have affected them and devastated them, and to put yourself in your present mindset in their position when you haven't been betrayed, you haven't been deceived, you haven't been lied to, you haven't had your spouse be with another person, is a lot of audacity, quite honestly. And it's just not fair. And I wouldn't do it because you really don't know how you would respond if your spouse was to have done to you what you've done to them. Now, it's a great exercise for you to think through what it would feel like. Yes, it's a great exercise for you to put yourself in their place. But I would immediately stop, even internally, even if you never repeated this to anybody, in your own mind, I would stop trying to say what you would do, because you're not your spouse, you don't know what it's like, you don't understand what it's like, and it's just unfair. If you're a betrayed spouse, and here's where it gets tricky, but please, as almost all of you do, indulge me for a few minutes. If you're a betrayed spouse, I would stop trying to think, well, if I had done this, I sure wouldn't be responding that way. You're unaware of the prison of deception that they have built around their life. You are unaware of the fog of lies they've told themselves, justifications that they've told themselves 1,000 times. You are just unaware of how locked in the jail cell they are of deception, minimization, justification, accusing, and really just being lost. And as one guy told me, he said, you've just been in darkness for so long, and your unfaithful spouse is in darkness. And so to think you would respond this way, again, it's just not fair because you're not in that position. You haven't done that, thank God. And I would encourage you not to ever even give thought to a revenge affair, because that only quadruples the collateral damage and the hurt and the pain. But stop trying to say what you would do if you were them, because thank God you don't know the level of deception, you don't know the level of unhealthiness, you don't know the level of confusion and chaos and deception. I can go on and on. It's just there's so much to it. Don't put yourself in that position because it's just not objective. And you have the benefit of knowing what it feels like now, so you're transferring emotion to being an unfaithful spouse, but you wouldn't have all the emotion that you have right now. So you just can't see it for what it is. 2 quick points. One is, I would make a commitment, unfaithful or betrayed, to do no more harm. Saying or thinking or even expressing, well, I wouldn't do that if I was them. It's doing more harm to you emotionally and to your spouse as well. Number 2 is it's the wrong frame of mind. I would change it to, okay, look, I don't know what it's like to be you, but I can learn. And the more you educate yourself and the more you read and the more you learn, the more that you're going to be able to understand the mindset of the unfaithful or the mindset of the betrayed. Number 3 is stop doing what I am a master of in my marital conflicts, and that's finding the bad guy. Stop trying to find who the bad guy is. We know who the bad guy is, the unfaithful spouse at some level. And I say that with jest, but we understand that. It's not about finding the bad guy, it's about finding steps to recovery, finding steps to forgiveness, finding steps to grieving, finding, and I should say, implementing steps to working towards healing. Finding the bad guy is a phrase that Rick describes that we do in marriage, which is, well, if you'd have done this, or if you would stop doing that, and if you don't do this, and if I was you, I wouldn't be doing... It doesn't work. I'm a master at it. I corner Samantha all the time and say, well, you did this. And it just starts the circling of the drain maritally. Don't do it. It doesn't work. If you do it in your mind, don't say it, because it's not going to help. So commit today to stop finding the bad guy and try and eradicate that phrase, well, if I had been unfaithful, or if I was betrayed. Hopefully you never have to feel that. Hopefully you just feel what you already feel and you can work through it. If I can ever be of any help, feel free to reach out.